What if a global idol adored by millions, whose every movement is captured by cameras and whose every breath is anticipated by fans, were to admit that he feels empty after stepping off the stage? Would that be a sign of exhaustion, maturity, or the most honest confession he has never dared to voice before? This very question struck the hearts of armies around the world when the December 2025 issue of Rolling Stone Japan was released, carrying a startling admission from the figure long known as BTS's golden magne Jungkook. It was not a cry of victory, nor the euphoria of fame, but a quiet honesty that felt far more powerful than any sensational headline. Behind the stage lights and the shimmer of camera flashes, Jungkook opened a silent space within himself, one that had long remained unseen, yet deeply felt. The release of this magazine came at a moment laden with meaning. Jungkook was still serving his mandatory military enlistment, a phase in which his stage activities had paused, yet the resonance of his name only continued to grow louder. When Rolling Stone Japan crowned him as the main cover star for its December 2025 edition, the public seemed to receive a subtle hint that this was more than just a glamorous photo shoot. And indeed, the in-depth interview later translated and shared by fan account at @RapperJongX revealed a far more complex portrait of Jungkook, an artist standing at the crossroads between the peak of success and profound self-reflection. Many had assumed the interview would be nothing more than a visual celebration, yet few expected that a simple remark about clearing his mind after leaving the stage would become the emotional epicenter of a wave that flooded fans' timelines worldwide. In an entertainment industry that often worships perfection while concealing the human vulnerabilities of its idols, Jungkook's confession felt both academically striking and emotionally disarming. He did not speak in elaborate metaphors or dense philosophical language. He simply stated that after stepping off the stage, he tries not to think too much, to empty his mind, and to return to simplicity. Yet therein lies the drama. For armies, the stage is where Jungkook appears most alive, most radiant, most electrified with energy. Hearing that after all of that he chooses emptiness, not a dark void but a quiet pause, raised an even more piercing question. What price must one pay to keep shining? Rolling Stone Japan portrayed Jungkook as someone living in contradiction. He exists under the gaze of millions, yet strives to remain grounded. He is worshipped as a global icon, yet fights not to lose himself in the process. The article emphasizes that Jungkook dislikes overthinking and prefers to follow his instincts, an approach that may sound simple, but is extraordinarily difficult to practice within the pressure-laden ecosystem of the global music industry. Between those lines lies an important clue. What the public has long seen is only the surface. Jungkook is not merely a performance machine endlessly in motion, but a human being who knows when to give everything and when to pause. The visuals accompanying the interview further reinforced this narrative of transformation. Jungkook appeared in Calvin Klein pieces, a black leather jacket, a simple tank top, and light denim. Yet it was not the clothing that commanded attention, but the aura he projected the moment the camera began to roll. Rolling Stone described it as a switch being flipped. In an instant, Jungkook transformed from a quiet presence into an undeniable visual magnet. A hand gently raised to his chin, his gaze following the light, the jacket slipping slightly to reveal his shoulder, an intense stare melting into a broad smile. Everything felt curated yet effortless. His athletic physique, sharply defined abs, and vivid tattoos stretching from his right shoulder to his fingertips became symbols of a new phase of life. No longer a boy with dreams, but a grown man with clarity, confidence, and self-awareness. Yet the surprise did not end with visuals. Jungkook also reflected on his solo album Golden, a work that many already consider monumental. Released in 2023, the album achieved massive global success, broke records, and established Jungkook as a top-tier solo artist. But once again, Jungkook chose the unexpected path. He admitted that the album still felt imperfect to him. Rather than diminishing his achievements, this confession revealed the extraordinarily high standards he sets for himself. He spoke about vocals and stage performance that he believes could still improve, leaving many fans momentarily speechless. If someone who has reached such heights still does not feel complete, then what does enough truly mean in the world of entertainment? It was at this point that ARMY's emotions began to overflow. Many fans admitted they cried, not out of sadness, but because they felt closer to Jungkook than ever before. His acknowledgement of imperfection, his desire to keep changing, and his refusal to be driven by trends felt like an open letter to those who have followed his journey since debut. Jungkook declared that he wants to create trends, not follow them. He hates being bound by rules and limitations, and desires one thing above all: to become an artist without an endpoint, someone who continues to evolve. These statements extended far beyond music. They spoke to a life philosophy that actively resists stagnation. The context of this interview only amplified its impact. Jungkook was speaking during his military service, a period of absence from the stage that paradoxically made every word feel heavier, more deliberate. When he discussed his future after discharge, there was a palpable blend of anticipation and courage. He described reaching a point where he could objectively observe himself and decide whether he was ready to take a major step into the next phase. He expressed no desire to repeat past performances or musical styles, instead yearning to try something new, a true breakthrough. For many fans, this sounded like both a promise and a challenge. A promise of something fresh, and a challenge to embrace a version of Jungkook that may be entirely different. Social media reactions erupted almost immediately. The long thread posted by @Rapperchk, which shared translated excerpts from the interview, was soon flooded with emotional responses. Some wrote that Jungkook always makes them proud. Others said they were deeply moved by his emotional maturity. Many simply expressed their impatience for what comes next. The hashtag Jungkook's Rolling Stone quickly trended, adding a layer of global euphoria that contrasted sharply with the quiet solitude Jungkook described after leaving the stage. It is precisely this irony that makes the story so powerful. While the world cheers, he chooses silence. This December 2025 edition of Rolling Stone Japan was released as a double cover, with versions for Korea and the UK scheduled for late December 2025 and early January 2026. Yet more than a collector's item, the issue stands as an emotional archive of a pivotal moment in Jungkook's journey. He appears not just as a visual icon, but as an individual brave enough to reveal his vulnerability to a global audience. And perhaps that is the greatest surprise of this interview. Not the tattoos, not the achievements, but the courage to speak honestly about emptiness, pauses, and the constant desire to change. Amid the relentless noise of an entertainment industry that often demands flawless perfection, Jungkook's confession feels like a mirror held up to many lives. He shows that even at the height of success, there is room for doubt, for reflection, and for choosing silence without fear. The question now is no longer why Jungkook feels empty after stepping off the stage, but whether the world is ready to accept that behind even the brightest star is a human being who needs space to breathe. And it is precisely because of this honesty that Jungkook is not only admired as an artist, but loved as a human being. A love that makes ARMY cry, smile, and wait with deep anticipation for whatever surprise comes next. If Jungkook's confession about feeling empty after stepping off the stage was already enough to leave millions of fans in stunned silence, the next part of his interview with Rolling Stone Japan opens an even deeper and more complex emotional layer, as if offering a clue that what is happening is not merely a temporary phase, but a crucial turning point in his life and career. Is it possible that an artist who has reached nearly every peak of success is actually living through the most reflective moment of his life? And if so, what does that reflection mean for the future of Jungkook, BTS, and the global music world that awaits him? In the interview, Jungkook does not speak in the tone of complaint, but with a calmness that borders on philosophical maturity. He is fully aware of his position as a public figure under constant scrutiny, yet instead of becoming trapped by the pressure of expectations, he chooses a path that is often unpopular in the entertainment industry: radical honesty with himself. He admits that when he is on stage, all of his energy is completely drained. He gives everything, emotionally, physically, mentally, without holding anything back. But the moment the lights go out and the cheers fade, there is a quiet space he deliberately seeks. That space is not a frightening void, but a kind of reset, an effort to return to being an ordinary human being who does not always have to be spectacular. For many ARMY, this is the part that hits the hardest. For years, Jungkook has been known as someone who always gives more than what is asked of him. He is a symbol of boundless dedication, perfectionism wrapped in hard work, and youthful passion that seems endless. Yet in this interview, he reveals another side. A man who is beginning to understand the importance of pause. This confession feels even more emotional because it is shared while he is serving in the military, a period that symbolically separates him from the stage identity that has been so deeply attached to him. For Jungkook, this may be the first time he can truly look at himself without the glare of stage lights and the roar of fans. Rolling Stone Japan captures this moment with remarkable sensitivity. The narrative does not frame Jungkook as someone who is exhausted or lost, but as an individual preparing for his next leap forward. He speaks about the ability to see himself objectively, something that is rare for public figures at such a young age. He does not hide his ambition, but he also refuses to let it blind him. He wants to change not for sensation but for growth. He wants to experiment, challenge boundaries, and step out of the comfort zone that has, paradoxically, already given him everything. The discussion of his solo album Golden becomes one of the most crucial parts of the interview. Jungkook does not speak as an artist who is satisfied with himself. He sees the album as a foundation, not a peak. For fans who consider Golden to be nearly flawless, Jungkook's admission that he still finds many shortcomings feels like a second shock, no less powerful than the first. Yet beneath it lies a strong implicit message. Complacency is the enemy of evolution. Jungkook chooses not to stop at praise and statistics, but to keep pushing himself beyond standards that are already extraordinarily high. The collective emotion of ARMY grows stronger as they realize that this attitude is not new for Jungkook, but rather a thread connecting his entire journey since debut. From the youngest trainee filled with doubts to a global icon commanding the world's stages, Jungkook has always shown one consistent pattern. He never truly feels finished. This Rolling Stone Japan interview feels like an official confirmation of what fans have intuitively sensed for years, that Jungkook is always in the process of becoming, never in a static state. A comment from a Calvin Klein staff member stating that they had waited 18 months for this moment adds another dimension to the narrative. That brief remark is not merely a professional note, but a reflection of the global anticipation surrounding Jungkook's return. The world seems to pause, waiting for his next step, whether as a solo artist or as part of BTS. The year 2026 is often mentioned as an era of the group's resurgence, and this interview feels like a prologue filled with signals. There are no explicit promises, yet Jungkook's words about the courage to try something new are enough to ignite imagination. On social media, fan reactions evolve into deeper conversations. Many connect Jungkook's feeling of emptiness with their own personal experiences. Some feel represented, others feel comforted, and many are moved by the realization that even the greatest idols share fragile spaces similar to those of ordinary people. In this context, Jungkook is no longer seen only as an entertainment figure, but as a generational voice daring to speak about limits of energy, the importance of self-understanding, and the courage to pause without feeling like a failure. The success of this interview lies in its ability to create a surprise that is not sensational, but emotional and reflective. There is no scandal, no conflict, yet its impact lingers far longer. It raises fundamental questions about the meaning of success, the cost of popularity, and what it means to be whole in a world that constantly demands more. Jungkook does not offer definitive answers, and perhaps he does not intend to. He simply opens a space for dialogue with himself and with the millions who listen. Ultimately, the December 2025 edition of Rolling Stone Japan will be remembered not only as an iconic visual moment, but as an important record in the journey of an artist who chose honesty amid the glittering spotlight. Jungkook's confession about emptiness after leaving the stage is not a sign of weakness, but evidence of emotional maturity rarely seen in the entertainment industry. It shows that behind global attention lies an internal process just as important as performance on stage. And it is precisely because of this courage to speak openly that Jungkook's bond with ARMY feels more human, deeper, and stronger than ever. Now the remaining question is no longer what Jungkook has achieved, but where he will go next. If this interview is a clue, one thing is clear. Jungkook has no intention of repeating the past. He is preparing something new, something he may never have done before. And when that day comes, when he steps back onto the stage as a version of himself that has evolved, this confession of emptiness will be remembered as the beginning of a transformation, not the end of a story, because the echo of his words continues to ripple outward, refusing to fade. Behind his simple statement lies a long resonance that crosses fandom boundaries and reaches a wider space of reflection on humanity and the meaning of success. When Jungkook said he empties his mind after leaving the stage, many initially thought it was merely an expression of fatigue, but over time the public began to read it as a conscious stance toward mental well-being, a choice not to be consumed by the noise of a world that relentlessly demands perfection. In an entertainment industry that often glorifies endless productivity, this confession feels almost subversive. Jungkook, with all his privileges as a global icon, offers a more humane narrative that rest is not regression and silence is not failure. He does not position himself as a victim of pressure, but as an individual who has learned to recognize his own limits. This attitude brings an emotional shock rarely seen, a courage to be honest when the world prefers idols who are always strong and unshaken. For ARMY, this is the moment when admiration transforms into empathy. Many feel as if Jungkook is speaking directly to them, not as a towering star, but as someone who understands exhaustion, doubt, and the need to breathe. Conversations on social media shift from mere visual praise to discussions about life's meaning, ambition, and the courage to keep growing without losing oneself. Therein lies the greatest strength of this interview. It does not end with Jungkook, but invites anyone who reads it to ask themselves when they last truly stopped and listened to their inner voice. Thus, Jungkook's confession of emptiness after stepping off the stage becomes more than an emotional headline. It transforms into a symbol of transition, a signal that the next phase of Jungkook's journey, and perhaps BTS's as well, will be built on deeper self-awareness. As the world waits for his return to the stage, one thing now feels certain. Jungkook will not only return as a captivating performer, but as a whole human being who understands that even behind the loudest cheers, there is always a silence that deserves to be respected.